Okay, we're good. Are we rolling? We good? Good evening and welcome to the San Angelo Mayoral Debate 2025. We are broadcasting live from the San Angelo Performing Arts Center in downtown San Angelo. And I'll get to our moderators here in just a moment, but we would like to thank each one of the candidates for taking time out of their busy schedules to be here this evening. Now I'm going to turn it over to our two moderators this evening, Mr. Joe Hyde, the owner and publisher of San Angelo Live, and Mr. Yukio Kuniyuki, the executive director of the San Angelo Performing Arts Center.
Thank you, Tracy. I'm Joe Hyde with San Angelo Live. We're the newspaper for San Angelo, and I'm joined in a great partnership with Yukio Kuniyuki with the San Angelo Performing Arts Center, which is an important pillar of our society here.
Yes, important part of the performing arts ecosystem in San Angelo, where the arts come alive.
Well, one of the unique things about this forum that you're going to be able to see tonight is both Yukio and myself are both 20-year veterans of the armed forces. Now, I flew airplanes while you drove tanks.
I drove tanks and I did intel, yeah, so.
So we'll give you, I think the questions and the format that we're going to provide you is going to give you a real insight into some of the issues that are facing San Angelo and how our candidates for mayor, for the May 3rd election, respond to them.
Yes, and these aren't the easy questions. Right?
No, they're not the easy questions.
These are hard ones.
But before we get started, we need to introduce our candidates. I see the first one over there, Mr. Trinidad Aguirre.
And the next one is known to everyone as the current District 2 council member, Thompson.
And y'all can clap behind us if you want.
Who's next? I think the next one must be Gary Jenkins.
And finally, Juan Acevedo.
So the format of the debate tonight is pretty simple. Each candidate will have 3 minutes to introduce themselves, talk about their platform and what they plan to do, and then for each question that's asked, they have 2 minutes to respond.
And it looks like we shorted you a mic, but we're going to get the mic up there. But before we get started, what we're going to do, we have a 3-minute introduction for each one. Our official timekeeper is Tracy King, our MC, and then we will go into questions. We have a series of 10 questions. Each person will direct it at one candidate. They get 2 minutes to answer the questions, and then the other candidates get 2 minutes to add their 2 cents or rebuttals, how you want to do it. So it's very simple. It's 3 minutes introduction, and then 2 minutes to answer the questions, and we'll just go down the line. As far as who we asked first, we decided early by secret ballot here of who we're going to ask first, and it's based on table seating. So to get this started, if you get a microphone ready, Mr. Trinidad Aguirre, why don't you give us a short introduction of who you are?
Well, hello everyone, and really thank you for watching us here. I know we're streaming live, and thank you for the audience for coming in. I'm Trinidad Aguirre. I am a San Angelo resident. From an educational standpoint, I have a bachelor's degree in computer science from Angelo State, and I have a master's degree in telecommunications from the University of Dallas. I am a United States Navy veteran. I know that we talked earlier, while you guys were flying planes and doing it, I was on the ship making sure that there was no subs coming at you. So I am a veteran. From a standpoint of career, I was the president of Verizon of the Southwest, which means I had 17 states under me. I had about $1 billion budget. The key behind that is that I know how to run a corporation. I know how to run a company. I know what questions to ask, and I know how to improve all of the aspects of a business. From a civic standpoint, I've been on the Chamber of Commerce, on the executive board. I've been on the Planning Commission, and I was honored to be the chair of the Charter Review, which is the Constitution of San Angelo, so I understand the means or the way that we're supposed to operate as a company. From just me personally, you know, it's really exciting to be here at this time. When you take a look at the opportunity we have, you know, San Angelo is at a crossroads right now. There's a lot of stuff coming, and why would I want to be in this position? One, I have the time, and I am financially able to do this job, and I think with the magnitude of this job, it's going to take a full-time person to manage, you know, everything that we need to do. I plan to try to get an office right next to Daniel Valenzuela, because I believe that whoever is in this position needs to be there on a daily basis every day in order to make the changes that we're going to be talking about today. So it's a very important aspect that we afford the time that is required to do this. The other thing that I look at is, if you take a look at it, we have 4 seats that we're going to be filling. And what an exciting time. I mean, you get to decide who you're going to put in as the mayor, and we got 3 brand new candidates for the council coming in. And if you take a look at the roles that we're going to play, you know, you got Daniel Valenzuela that's going to run the city. You got the mayor that is directly over the city manager. And then we have you, the people, that is over the city council and the mayor. So it's a great opportunity. We get to execute some exciting things that we'll probably discuss today. And I'm really looking forward to being able to lead this city into these changes. We'll talk about economic development. We'll talk about the other opportunities, but very proud to be in this position that we are now. Thank you.
Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Thanks for being here, and thanks for the invitation as well to San Angelo Live. My name is Juan Acevedo. I was born in Del Rio. I grew up in Bracketville, Texas, which is between Uvalde and Del Rio. I went to school there as well. I grew up in a ranch on the country, raising sheep and goats and cattle, and that's what my father taught me. But we moved back to Del Rio. I graduated in 1986. I worked for a living like just everybody else. After that, I graduated and went to college, had some college hours, and went with life at home and enjoyed life. And then I decided to run for a public school board in Del Rio. I served 3 years, 1 term, and I just wanted to be there to do the best for the kids, and that's what I did. And I don't have a degree, but I do have common sense. And my thing is, I want to be your mayor because there's a lot of issues that we're facing. The problem that we're seeing is public safety, infrastructure, the economic development that we need here as well. There's a lot of things that the next mayor will face. It's not just that easy to go in there and say, okay, I'm going to take care of it today. It's not going to happen. It's not going to happen overnight as well. We have to work hard for it. But I mean, if you guys give me the opportunity, we'll get there and get to work and get things going. Thank you again for the invitation.
Good evening, everybody. God bless you. Thank you for letting me be here. I salute the San Angelo Live and for hosting this, as well as the Performing Arts Center. I give honor to our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ because he's the one that inspired me to do this. I'm not interested in being a politician. I'm simply interested in being a servant that will glorify God and be a blessing to all of the people who live, work, and conduct business in the city of San Angelo. I am a United States Marine veteran serving 10 years with 1 tour of duty in Vietnam as a scout sniper working for G2, that means intelligence. We would eliminate the enemy and bring any intelligence data to the G2 headquarters. I'm a business person. I own the Gospel America television network with over 50 million viewers. I am a former chairman or president of the ADAC, the Alcohol Drug Awareness Center here in San Angelo, overseeing a budget of $7 million. I am a former member of Homeland Security, and I also worked with FEMA. and we went to national disasters in several states, tornadoes, earthquakes, hurricanes, not just going there, but serving on the president's advance team to assess the damage done into those communities, lives lost, property damage, et cetera, in the billions of dollars. So when it comes to a national disaster, I have the experience to know how to coordinate with all of the proper authorities when it comes to urban revitalization. I worked on the mayor's staff in New Haven, Connecticut. We got rid of blighted buildings. So when it comes to getting down in the trenches and actually doing the work, I have that experience. I also have a law enforcement background, and I know what it takes to reduce crime. And we have taken actions before. I'm a former volunteer police chaplain here in San Angelo, and I've served with the San Angelo Police Department for a little over 8 years. Loved it. I'm a chaplain with Shannon Medical Center, and we minister to families and to the patients who are going through tremendous ordeals health-wise. I could go on, but my time is almost up. I got my own timer too. And so I want to thank you again for this opportunity. I will work hard to be your next mayor of this city.
My name is Tom Thompson. I'm running for mayor. I want to thank everybody for coming out tonight. I also want to thank the other mayoral candidates for having the resiliency and the bravery to come out and go and work for a volunteer position. I think it's very important, and those people need to be respected for that highly. I work for a Fortune 250 company for about 17 years. Then I worked for a nonprofit here in San Angelo, the San Angelo Stock Show and Rodeo, for 10 years, while also working for another animal health pharma company here. My wife is a teacher at San Angelo ISD. She's a dyslexia specialist. She's very vested into, I get to hear a lot back from her. I often refer to her as the most vocal constituent in my district, but it's good to be entrenched and hear that. I have 2 sons. One is got his bachelor's and master's here from Angelo State University. He stayed locally employed. My other son is in his 2nd year at the United States Air Force Academy. I think what we look at, what's important for the future, I have 8 years of experience on city council. I think public safety will always be number one. We'll follow that up with infrastructure. I'm a huge advocate of protecting our water rights and what we have. I think we need to be very resilient in that process. And then third, I think a key part is economic development. We need to have some really strong growth initiatives. We need to look at our scoreboard on what we've done, and we need to encourage economic development to even pull that further. I also have 2 years as Mayor Pro Tem. I haven't brought that up yet, but I like to say that's 2 years you have to prepare and be prepared to run the meeting in case the mayor doesn't show up. You go through the same training and preparation every week. That happens with that. And with that, I think the key thing as a mayor, you need to be as you're a facilitator. You ask why and why not. You try to challenge them to move forward with new initiatives. You challenge them to look at ways that help us create greater incentives and greater rewards for the citizens of San Angelo. And I'm Tom Thompson, I want to be your mayor.
Okay, before we get started with the questioning, you know, we may not have 30 million viewers here, but we have between X and Facebook and YouTube, we're looking at about 56 right now, live on the live stream, watching this from home or from their, I mean, I hope they're not driving down the road.
I hope so.
We'll start the first question with candidate Gary Jenkins. What is your leadership philosophy, and how do you think it will help you serve as a mayor? And then a follow-up question to that is, what is the most difficult decision that you've had to make that affected other people?
My leadership strategy is to be inclusive, meaning that we will have a mayor's night out in every single member district. Why? Because we need the input of the people who live here, the people who work here, and the voters. For too long, under the current administration, many of the citizens that I have spoken with feel as though they have been left out of the decision-making process. I want to change that. I want to make them become active citizens, active participants in what we do when policy is formed. If we have to have a public hearing, so be it. Whatever we need to do to get the input from the people who put us in this office. We are not here to act like kings and rulers. We're here to serve. And sometimes I believe that some of the people who work in government forget the fact that they work for the public, for the people who put them in those positions. It's not the other way around. And we've got to change that. And there is an atmosphere of alienation from the voters, between the voters and the people who are supposed to serve the voters. I will eliminate that by being inclusive. I will eliminate that by having a format in place where people can contact the mayor. And by the way, I'm the one who said in the original beginning that I want to establish an office for the mayor. It is so ridiculous that the chief elected official of the city doesn't even have an office in City Hall. That's going to change under my administration.
And then I guess we'll just go in order. So to your right would be Tom Thompson. The question was, what is your leadership philosophy? How do you think it will help you serve as mayor? And the follow-up question is, what is the most difficult decision that you've had to make that affected other people?
My leadership philosophy is to listen. All right, you're a facilitator as a mayor. As a mayor, you're a chairman of the board. All right, the city manager runs the city. It's your job to take what information comes to you, manage it, and work it back down the flow. If you don't like what's coming out of a department, you work that with the city manager on changes that need to happen. Items are brought to the agenda, are brought to the table. We look at them, and we let them go back down. I think the city manager is highly responsible for that. And as the mayor, you facilitate what comes up and comes down, and you voice initiatives that you would like to see that your constituents tell you. I want to make a little discussion about an office. I don't know if we've ever had an office for the mayor. We have a meeting space you can go to. I don't know if you can provide city taxpayer property for somebody to have a personal office. You've always got a meeting space available, and you need to do those things under the guidance of staff. We look for transparency. Meetings without the right staff, the right legal there, do present problems, and people think you're trying to keep things hidden. That's a transparency issue. I've never requested that, but when you want to have a meeting with somebody, feel free to call up and book a room, but you have to have legal, and you have to have the proper oversight to complete this proper transparency. You were looking, Joe, for one decision that affected a lot of voters, is what you want to go? I think for 8 years I've had to sit down and decide the tax rate and vote on what we accepted as the tax rate that affected every citizen in San Angelo, Texas. All right, for 10 years, the tax rate has stayed at 0.776 or lower. All right, it has never come back above that. We have managed to stay within our means. I think there's going to be some things that are going to come out of economic development that will make that tax rate even go lower in the next few years. But I think that's one decision that I had to make 8 years in a row that affected every constituent in the city.
Coming to the right side, my right side is Mr. Trinidad Aguirre. What is your leadership philosophy, and how do you think it will help you serve as mayor? What is the most difficult decision you've had to make that affected other people?
My leadership style is empowerment and listening. One of the things that when I walk around, and I've talked to a lot of people this week, they don't feel empowered. They feel they need to be told what to do and when to do it. And that's wrong. We have got a lot of the right people on the bus. We've got a lot of people out there that are really, really smart on our team, but we're not listening to them. We're not letting them make the decisions that we need for them to make. I've always believed, and when I ran the 17 states, that you can't be everywhere all the time. And what you really do need to do is let them do what they can do. There's no right way to do everything. but there is a way to do it. So I believe in empowering people. I believe in listening. I think that if you talk to people about me, one of the things that they will tell you is that I am very, very approachable. I pick up my phone, I return every call, and I believe that the people will be able to find a way to communicate with me that is good for them, both in English and in Spanish. So one of the toughest decisions that I've ever had to make is getting the right people on the bus. You know, we talked about taxes, we talked about office space, we talked about these. It's easy to say no, and that's not the right answer. The right answer is how. And what we've got to do is get those people on the bus that we feel that can make those decisions and empower them to get there. Because I truly do believe that as a mayor, we can really make a difference in making the changes that we talked about, whether it's taxes, economic development, police and safety, or whatever the issue is. Thank you.
And Mr. Juan Acevedo, I'll do it again. What is your leadership philosophy, and how do you think it will help you serve as mayor? Second, the follow-up question is, what is the most difficult decision that you've had to make that affected other people?
Thank you for the question. The thing is, always go out there and listen to the voters. Like I said, I've been in public office. I've listened to the voters when I was running for office. And most importantly, that's the thing that we need to is listen, because they put us in there and they can vote us out at it's just how things work. And if we don't have that, and we just keep on doing things, of course, the voters are going to be upset at us. So we actually, listen to them and do what, they tell us to do, because they put us in, like I said, they put us in here. That's my leadership, and I agree with Mr. Aguirre and Mr. Jenkins and the other guys here, Mr. Thompson. Empowerment. That's how it goes.
Okay, second question. We'll start with Mr. Trinidad Aguirre. The 4 current priorities of the city of San Angelo are infrastructure, which includes streets, drainage, water; economic development, which includes development services, development projects, and commercial and industrial development; public safety, which includes fire and police; and employee compensation. Do you plan to keep these as priorities, or would you like to change them? And if you would like to change them, how would you change them?
Those are the pillars of any great city, all 4 of them. So in order to change them, you would never change them as a priority for any elected official. But I believe that some of them are functioning better than others. For instance, I met with the police chief, and he feels that he's not fully staffed to take care of some of the crime and some of the drug problems that we have here. When I met with the fire chief, he also is talking about some of the things that he need. But overall, I believe that that is an area that they are doing a fantastic job. Infrastructure, you'll probably hear now that we've got a lot of money allocated to infrastructure. I think that's doing well. But the one I'd like to focus on based on time is economic development. I don't believe we have a good economic plan. When you go downtown and look at the Chamber of Commerce, and you look at 2 individuals running our economic department, and that's the marketing arm of it, there is no way that they can handle it. So my plan on changing economic development is organic growth. I look at the Cytel building. We've got a new person coming in, or new companies coming in. They're going to hire 100 people. You take a look at the other, some of the builders and how much they've grown. So my philosophy is going to be for economic development. Let's continue to go after the big guys, but let's not ignore our small business. Hector Leo's and his company, look at all they do for us. So we've got to focus more on organic growth and make sure that they remain the lifeblood of our San Angelo, because that's all we have at this point. Thank you.
Mr. Acevedo, same question. The 4 current priorities are infrastructure, economic development, public safety, and employee compensation. Do you plan to keep these as priorities, or would you like to change them?
I don't plan to do any changes. I think we have whatever is out there. I haven't met with the chief of police or the fire chief or anybody else. I think, I guess I'll get there. I'll cross that bridge when I get there. But I mean, I think the small businesses, I mean, especially in downtown San Angelo, they need more attention as well. I mean, but the only way to do it is us as a mayor and council, you know, reaching out and talking to them, because that's keeps us going. The same thing with, you know, we have military base. We have to maintain that relationship with them as well, because they're bringing money to the city coffer, but at the same time, I mean, we have to also, you know, meet with, you know, our business, small business people.
Mr. Jenkins, same question. The 4 current priorities of the city are infrastructure, economic development, public safety, and employee compensation. Do you plan to keep these as priorities, or would you like to change them?
I would probably make modifications as I examine them in greater detail. Economic development is vital to the growth and the stability of San Angelo. And if you ask any young person who graduates from ASU or Howard, or people who just decide they want to pack up and leave, you ask them why. And there's 2 reasons for that. Non-paying jobs, low-paying jobs, no entertainment venues, very little, I should say not no, but very little entertainment venues in the city that would attract people that, instead of running to San Angelo or San Antonio to the Riverwalk or to some other city, San Angelo needs to be an attraction that will attract people all over West Texas and beyond. And how do we do that? More economic development. How do we retain the police officers and the firefighters that we have? We've got to be more competitive with the surrounding towns, such as Abilene, even with DPS. The salaries of those cities are far greater than those of San Angelo. And the only way San Angelo can compete is that we have to build a stronger economic base so that the tax rate will stay low, won't increase, and at the same time, we will be able to have the funds in place to give our police officers, our firefighters, the salaries they deserve to have when they're putting their lives on the line for all of us. Next, finally, we've got to maintain an excellent relationship between San Angelo and Goodfellow Air Force Base. And I would like to see a greater increase in that area.
Mr. Thompson, same question. The 4 current priorities for the city are infrastructure, economic development, public safety, and employee compensation. Do you plan to keep these as priorities, or would you like to change them?
Those are 4 basic pillars of the 8 pillars of government. Infrastructure, we learned the hard way during COVID, and then we learned through our extreme cold situation we called Snowvid, but we learned the hard way how susceptible we are. We have spent 30 to 40 years not keeping up with our infrastructure that we'd like to, but you're limited by the amount of dollars you have to spend. You have a budget, you plow that budget in October 1st, and you have to live within your means. The infrastructure will always be a priority. The city of San Angelo listened to listened to the constituents and the citizens, and they spent nearly $120 million the past 8 years just on streets alone. Bond issues of over $20 million every other year. Seal coating, those things have become a priority and a focus for the city of San Angelo and the existing council. If you look at our economic development, we have programs to work for the local, smaller companies that are here to keep them in retention. We have $40 million of commercial permits on the books for the city of San Angelo. They mentioned the Sitel Tower, that's one of them. There's $40 million of commercial development on the books for San Angelo. The economic growth impact that comes out of the chamber annually is approximately $54 million. I don't think they've been sitting on their heels to put $54 million on the table. All right, you can go to their website, the chamber's website, and see that information. They work very hard. Economic development takes time. Those things never come in 1 year, 2 years. Some of these items have been on the books for several years. Some come very fast. Economic development makes our taxes go down because it's more money spent with us. And the final thing you ask about here is public safety. We have to live within our means. we're going to continue to try to stay at what we need to match our population base to provide the proper number of police. Am I at the stop point? Gotcha. Thank you.
I'd like to follow up with Mr. Thompson's answer with a longer, I guess, question that has a little bit of background on it so the people in the audience can kind of understand where we're coming from when we talk about economic development. Residential property taxpayers in San Angelo are asked to foot the bill for 2 large bond projects this election. We have a $397 million bond for the San Angelo ISD and an additional $41.6 million bond for the city's Coliseum upgrade. The San Angelo ISD project alone will increase property taxes 27 cents. Meanwhile, in Lubbock, the Lubbock ISD has a similar, it's a little bit smaller, it's a $297 million bond project on the ballot. In Lubbock, because they have so much new property coming onto the tax rolls due to economic growth, there is no accompanying tax increase to finance that bond. To quote our county judge, Lane Carter, and I've even heard the current mayor, Brenda Gunner, talk about this, the San Angelo area isn't growing fast enough to pay for all the infrastructure needs, particularly for the schools. For years, the City of San Angelo and the City Council have operated the City of San Angelo Development Corporation, or COSA DC, that is intended to spend millions of dollars annually to attract new business to San Angelo under the direction of the mayor and the council. Considering that we're not growing fast enough to relieve primarily right now our residential property taxpayer, would you say that the half-cent sales tax scheme and COSA DC have failed? And should we restructure the half-cent sales tax and COSA DC to fix it?
Could you repeat that? Just kidding, Joe. Okay. So I will tell you, with what I answered before, I think we have proper scores up on the board with what our economic development has accomplished with the funds. The half-cent sales tax, 28% of that goes to economic development, 72% of it goes to water. That's infrastructure. That's a given. I'll never vote against water. It's a key part of even all the development we do. It's the underway. It's like you'll see what went around 29th Street. We do the water, the underground first, and then we follow it up with the surface. We did Chadburn in less than 4 weeks last year. Is that ratio fair to economic development is what I think I hear you asking. I think economic development needs a piece of the pie of any win they get. I think we're fixing a domino 1 or 2 that certainly justify giving economic development, the DMO, some more funds to propagate and go further, to get outside the box and look at things. But West Texas is going to become, I say, one of the targets for economic development, especially among the spaceport areas. You see that in Midland. I just learned this recently. There's lots of development that's going to come out here and go forward. I think we've given tools. I think he can graduate and go better, but we are the same as probably 80, 90% of the other cities in Texas. We haven't done enough to bring in more people. It's a fight. I'll go with the I-27 ports to plains. It's been a fight to keep us on the list. That can certainly go around us, or we can fight to make sure it comes through San Angelo. We've done a good job in those areas. Can we do better? We can always do better. The last thing you want to do is think you're big. You need to act small, think big, and try to go further. Joe, did that answer your question?
You're running for office.
I'm running for mayor.
Mr. Aguirre, I'm going to I'll ask the last part of it. If you want me to repeat anything other, I will. But considering we are not growing fast enough to relieve primarily residential property taxpayers, would you say that the half-cent sales tax scheme and COSA DC have failed? And if they have or have not, should we have any kind of restructuring of the half-cent sales tax or COSA DC?
I won't say they failed, but I say that, yes, we should restructure. I mean, when you take a look at the numbers, right now and the 28%, we're looking at 1.6 million to attract all these businesses. That's not enough. You take a look at the larger cities, they have like 25 million in their coffers. I met with the chamber president the other day and asked him, I said, do we not have physical space for, Michael Looney or the 2 Mikes as we call them? They share an office. I mean, what kind of, I guess, when people come in and they walk in there, they wonder, are we serious about economic development? And they do a fantastic job with what they have. But I don't think it's near enough. And, you know, working with the chamber president and then working with the Coast of DC, I think that we totally need a restructure. We need to come back and get aggressive. I mean, if 2 people bring in 56 million, what would 4 people bring? What would 6 people bring? And we need to come back and get very aggressive behind this. And as part of the mayor, you need to be out there, you know, helping in every way you can. I met with the Pacific Railroad Company, and I asked them, I said, how are we coming in with the, you know, with Costa DC and those guys? And they said, we're not. At this point, the bridge isn't finished, we can't bring in product, and if we bring in product, what do we do with it? We got to unload it and reload it and do everything else. So I think we need a total relook at this, and I think that it's time now, and I really like the idea of fresh new faces, fresh new ideas, and let's not get tied down to the past. And, you know, we mentioned the 72% for water. Water doesn't use that year after year. And as we buy down debt, should we be able to allocate some of that fund to the 1.6 million to get some additional dollars? So I think it's a great opportunity to restructure.
Mr. Acevedo, I'm going to add to this a little bit. The chamber has been given $262,500 per year, I think since about 2019. I might be off on the timing, but it's been a static amount for a long time to run its economic development marketing arm. So my question is, the same question is, considering that we are not growing fast enough to relieve primarily the residential property taxpayers, would you say that the half-cent sales tax scheme in Costa DC have failed? And should we restructure the half-cent sales tax in Costa DC, and how?
I think it needs to be some restructuring to be done. Hearing and me coming to San Angelo and becoming a citizen of San Angelo, which I love here. I mean, my nieces moved up here, my sisters moved up here, so we all love it here. But I mean, when I got here, the first thing I heard was, this is a retirement community. But we have to, you know, go out and explore and see that, okay, we need to start bringing more businesses, a lot of the things that we need here that need to expand so that our taxes won't go up. And that helps us as taxpayers not to be taxed and taxed and taxed. And I mean, I guess all of us are tired of bonds. I mean, and I think all of us need a break, but I mean, right now, I think it needs a restructure.
Mr. Jenkins, I'll add to this. Not only do we have these 2 bonds, this massive $397 million San Angelo ISD bond and the Coliseum bond, but you don't think the county's thinking about a bond too, right? There's going to be needs in all the government. So with that involved, with that thought, and the fact that we have all these infrastructure needs in the city, considering that we are not growing fast enough to relieve primarily the residential property taxpayer, would you say that the half-cent sales tax scheme and the Costa DC have failed? And should we restructure the half-cent sales tax in Costa DC? If so, how?
I believe that we need to modernize, for lack of a better way to say that, what we're doing to raise revenue so that we can keep taxes low and at the same time get the construction projects done that we need. You can't do this if you're going to do business the same way and expect a change. It's not going to happen. You have to change how you do business. Now, let's look at Las Vegas. I don't believe in gambling. That's not my thing, and anything that's unwholesome. But I am going to say this. I commend what the community did when they went in the middle of nowhere in a desert and built an entertainment mecca where people come from all over the world to go there. In the middle of the desert. Nothing there. We're ahead of the game because we have resources here. Lake Nasworthy needs to be upgraded to a first-class operation. And the 1 cent sales tax, and that to me is not enough. We need to invite investors, entrepreneurs, enterprising companies to come in and work with us as part of our coalition of experts to say, what can we do so that the revenue that we need will be raised and not just depend on this little small nugget of money that's coming in. You'll never play catch up that way. And so we have to be ingenuitive. We have to be creative. We have to come up with a different system so that San Angelo can be a mega attraction to people all over the world. And you do that by business partnerships and economic development.
We'll start with the next question for Juan Acevedo. On the topic of economic development, when you talk to members of the chamber, one of the key topics that they discuss is the importance of the school district and passing the bond, especially in a community where only 24% of the population over 25 years old has a college degree, which means that many of the employable workers in San Angelo do not have the highest level of education is high school or some college. Do you support the school bond? And please explain your position.
At this time, if you go look at my signs that said new taxes, I think we need a break. I mean, taxes are, can probably wait, but for now, it's like, I just don't agree with, bonds for now. I mean, honestly, being taxed, I think our senior citizens and the rest of us need a break on taxes. Excuse me, I'm catching a cold here, sorry. But I mean, yeah, that's where I stand on no taxes right now. What was the other question again?
Even if it means it will have an effect on economic development.
Well, I mean, the thing is, I mean, for us to have a good economic development, we need to bring, companies, maybe a tech company into town, and maybe go out there and approach Elon Musk, and say, hey, we need to bring him down here. And so, I mean, it'll help us. I mean, it'll boost everybody, and it'll actually we'll go money to the city coffer, and we need that.
Okay, Mr. Jenkins, same question. The quality of the school district is often a discriminating factor for businesses when they decide to invest in a community and support economic development, especially when only 24% of the population aged 25 and older have a high school diploma and some college. Do you support the school bond? And please explain your position.
I do not support the school bond because I don't believe in increases in taxes of any kind. We've got enough on the plate of our taxpayers now. However, I do support an idea of expanding and building up our San Angelo Independent School District by having investments of other sources coming in. Do the schools need to be revised, revamped, and updated? Absolutely. And I'm in favor of that, but not the way it's being done. The same thing with the Coliseum. I believe that it needs to be, and I know that's not your question, but it ties in. We need greater expansion of these facilities. But to put a burden on taxpayers, I'm totally vehemently against that. And if the Coliseum wants to be expanded, then it should be done by private funding and not by money coming in from the city. The rodeo and stock, no disrespect to you because I know you like that, that's your, but the stock show and rodeo people that manage the Coliseum, it's a private entity. They're not city employees. And you're using tax dollars to support that. I'm vehemently against that for that reason. And so the McNeese Convention Center, which is being expanded, is proposed to be expanded, is using a venue tax. Why can't we do that with the Coliseum? So let's take away the burden of our taxpayers. They're paying enough, folks. And we can improve our city, but there's a better way to do it.
Mr. Thompson, same question. The quality of the school district is often a discriminating factor for business investment, especially when only 24% of the population have a college degree. Do you support the school bond? And please explain your position.
So Yukio, I want you to explain to me why we say the age, you're bringing up 24 and some of those only have a little bit of a degree or education. I don't understand how you're trying to tie that.
It ties into the fact that if we want business investment, they look for trained personnel to fill the jobs. Like if Elon Musk wanted to be here, we need more technical degrees. So investing in the school district seems to be an important aspect of that, because if we don't invest in the school district, then you don't have the trained personnel to fill those jobs and attract the higher paying jobs.
Okay, I'm with you. I don't know if it's cutting my time. If it is, I wish you would restart it. But here's when people come to San Angelo, Texas, as a company, and they're looking at investing time, property, plant, and equipment, and transferring people here, the number one question is your housing, and the number two question is the quality of your schools. We have not been a bond-friendly school system, a bond-friendly city for ages, all right? Now, a venue tax, I need to say, a venue tax is only designated for one specific venue. You can't do it for many. To me, this decision is going to be made before any of us are elected mayor, all right? But it's a question everybody wants to know our stance. It's not really a policy question of what we're going to do. I would hate to give up on our children, okay? I'm going to use my wife as an example up there. A few years ago, she went to go get her master's, and she's a dyslexia specialist. She spent $15,000 in 2 years to further her education. You know what she gets from SISD once a year? $500 stipend, all right? And I looked at her and said, well, I don't know about you, but the math for me really isn't working on this thing very well. And it's like her attitude was, it's not for me, it's for the children. I want to be a better teacher. I don't want to give up on our children, okay? If that's what people look at, and people won't come here because of our schools, and we don't put them in the right house, what are we doing? We're kind of giving up. And we're San Angelo. We're not going to give up on that. So I'm strongly in support of the bond. If you're 65 or older, it doesn't affect you with a homestead, all right? I was fixed to say the number of people that's going to bear the weight of this is probably more commercial than residential if you're 65 or older. And if you don't understand that, hang around and talk to us after this. But I think you have to support that and not give up on our children.
Mr. Aguirre, same question. The quality of the school district is often a discriminating factor for business investment, especially when only 24% of the population has a high school degree or some college. Do you support the school bond? And please explain your position.
You know, similar to the prior responses, it's the unfortunate or fortunate part, either way you want to look at it, is I don't get to make that decision. I am one vote. And the decision will be made on May 3rd by you, the people, and not us up here. Now, do I believe in school systems? Absolutely. What got me out of poverty was a good school here in San Angelo, and then going on to college. So do I believe the schools need to be revamped? Absolutely. I think one of the things that we're looking at is we're tying bricks and mortar to education. They're different. A reference was made to a school teacher. The bond is strict, or more of the bricks and mortar. We need to fix the air conditioning. We need to fix the heaters. We need to ensure that our children have the proper safety features out there. So I'm more into the lines of, I'm going to let the people decide, but I truly do believe that there is a lot of merit in getting the school bond passed so that our children can move forward. Am I in favor of tax increase? Absolutely not. But at the same token, I'm just very appreciative that the people have an opinion and they have a vote. And I want them to make that decision. And for us to come up and provide a biased answer, I think is the wrong place, because then we could influence their decision. And I think the decisions need to come from your heart, not ours. I believe in school systems, I believe in what they're doing, and I believe it's the right decision, but the final vote belongs to you.
Can I respond to this?
Of course.
Yes, I was just going to say, and for the record, I have nothing against the rodeo association, the rodeo. I grew up, like I said, on the ranch and the country, but I just don't, I don't think it's that time for us to have these bonds. Of course, we want our best education for our little kids because they are the future of tomorrow, but, for now, I think we need a break. Thank you. And it's the voters who decide on election day. Thank you.
Yukio, we're doing pretty good. Our online audience is past 75.
That's awesome.
On YouTube and on Facebook. And of course, we're getting some feedback on Facebook, but it's, the Facebook commenters. But someone did say they wanted to hear from the ponytail. So, Trinidad, this question's for you. Affordable housing for employees is often one of the many determining factors for attracting big employers to San Angelo. And two effective ways to allow affordable housing, actually probably the only two ways to create affordable housing other than government subsidy, is to either reduce the cost of the lot or reduce the size of the house. Whether you're pouring a concrete for a 1,000 square foot house or a 25,000 square foot house in Bentwood, cost per square inch of the concrete costs the same. Let's concentrate on the cost of the residential lot for a second. The city of San Angelo has done little to encourage new housing development or affordable housing despite the alarming findings of the 2019 housing study. It has done this by introducing costly mandates that drive up the cost of individual lots. I'll give you two examples. The city attempted to force land developers to build costly parkland or green spaces in new residential housing developments. Number two, the city has refused or will not address what the city's level of financial subsidy would be for installing and maintaining a new housing development stormwater plan. And everyone has a water bill and they see the stormwater money going to the city. Well, what are they spending that on? This leaves land developers guessing about the current and future liabilities in building, maintaining, and ensuring the development's stormwater infrastructure. This comes down to a question of cost for the city versus, pushing things onto the land developer. Should the city spend its own money, which could be millions of dollars, to create these green spaces and also to basically build the city's own stormwater systems, or should they push it onto the private sector?
The answer is quite clear. The citizens don't deserve it. When you talk about a green space, what they're referring to is they want the builders, and they're our lifeblood, they want the home builders to build a park in every area that they're going in, the green space. And then they want to put in all of the equipment, and then the thing that's really bad is in perpetuity, they want them to maintain it. Well, we all know businesses come and go. That is responsible of the Parks Department, and that is responsible of the city, not the home builders, and definitely not the citizens. Because when they do that, let's say they take out 5 lots, and they've got 20 lots out there, that means that the other 15 lots now have to pay more money. The same way with stormwater. Stormwater is just a quick definition. It's a way to route water around your house so your house doesn't get flooded. It's also a way to route water to the streams, to the lakes, without impurifying it and trying to get it there the easiest way they can. So do we need stormwater? Yes. Is the planning and engineering department dragging their feet? Yes. It's my understanding when I talked to the home builders, they came back and they said that there's like 20 plans in place, but there's not a stormwater in black and white that they can utilize. So we're creating our own nightmare. We're the ones that are raising the prices. When I take a look at the permitting process, and if you're bored, like I was for a while, and you go back and you look at the permitting process, a curb cut went like from $85 to $200. The new sign ordinance, they used to charge you like I think it was like $75. Now it's $175 or some correlation to that. So all of a sudden, our planning and engineering department, instead of being very helpful and very with the Small Business Association, what they've done is they put that burden, and affordable housing is no longer able to do that.
Mr. Acevedo.
I think.
You want me to repeat it or repeat the last part?
That's
Okay.
fine. No, sir. I agree with Mr. Aguirre on that. I think that we need to look at that and the planning and, like you said earlier, on the engineers. I mean, I think they need to work on that.
Mr. Gary Jenkins, should the city spend its own money on this kind of infrastructure, or should it pass it on to the private sector?
We need to have a partnership, and I keep saying this over and over again throughout my campaign. No one entity can get it done. You have to work together. The private industry and the government, in this case the city, needs to work together. Affordable housing is a critical need in this city. And it's not going to get done if we continue to go down to City Hall, apply for permits, and get stonewalled by the archaic system that is in place, blocked by the fact that you didn't put up a green space, blocked by the fact that you can't build a water retention area when it comes to construction. I spoke with the Home Builders Association as well as the San Angelo Association of Realtors. I built 2 houses myself, purchased a 3rd one, purchased commercial property. And I'm telling you that there has to be a change in the way business is done. You can't keep doing it this way, or you're going to stifle the growth of this city. You're going to stifle or prevent affordable housing from being constructed. And so rather than be in an adversarial role, the private sector against the city government, let's come together as a team and work this out. Now, I know the city budget is limited. I get that. But the city can afford to provide tax incentives to developers, to builders. You heard of HUD? Have you heard of the grants that are available through the United States Housing and Urban Development? Have you heard of the Small Business Administration? These are federal agencies that can help us achieve this if we would listen to what they have available, and then let's work together.
Mr. Thompson, should the city spend more money building infrastructure to aid in speeding up housing development, or should we push all that off to the private sector? Primarily talking green spaces and stormwater.
So back to the original topical thing was we're talking about green space. I think if you want to have an initiative and move it forward, you need to get input from all those involved. The Park Space Program didn't ask for any input from developers or builders. I personally asked that be presented in front of that group. When it was presented by planning to the builders and developers, it was a whole different picture than the city's original perspective. I don't think you can force that on anybody. You have to have input and you have to come up with a program. You can't require somebody to dedicate some space because of it, and I think Trinidad's answer was very accurate. That changes your cost per foot. That changes your entire profitability of it. When we go and talk about stormwater, we're actually talking about detention ponds. All right, there was a detention pond for different developments. The city of San Angelo, and these are state-driven programs. You can't just go make one without meeting some guidelines. Where the city of San Angelo would like to go is more regional detention ponds instead of individual retention ponds at every different development. So we'd like to pipe those things around the going. They haven't solved that yet. They need to solve that. I don't think it needs to sit upon a developer, because Joe, if you were to develop space, you've got a sunset and you don't want to hold that any longer. There needs to be a program and a tiered level of when it comes under the full jurisdiction of the city. Developers have sunsets in the amount of time they'll have. You're absolutely right. It needs to go over, and that needs to be addressed. It certainly does. Now, I do want to say one thing. I had to fact check this, and I got it from a couple of people. A curb cut in San Angelo is $70 for residential and $140 for commercial.
So the next question will be for, we'll start with Gary Jenkins. Will the future development of I-14 and I-27 potentially coming through San Angelo. What do you think the top 3 travel and tourist attractions are that we have? And how do you foresee developing the culture and arts scene in San Angelo?
As I said to you earlier before we got started, I love the arts. I'm an advocate of the arts in this city. We performed and produced a gospel concert in this very building in 2017, and we had a good turnout. There needs to be more venues available to come into San Angelo. And in fact, I got to talk to you later about somebody out of Connecticut I want to see come here and bring in a play that's going to be really awesome. But the interstates are vital to bringing in goods, services, as well as visitors to our city. And it is important that we continue moving as fast as we can with the construction of I-14 and I was at I-27, that we continue in that direction, because building supplies, materials, visitors coming in, the cost of those materials and building supplies will go down, and that in turn, I hope, will reflect on the price of housing in this city. But as far as the arts are concerned, we need to have a system in place where people can get into this city, enjoy themselves, that we can bring in performers. I'd like to see more performers come into San Angelo than what I've seen already. But we can get more, but it takes the commitment. So we need somebody from the arts community to be on our coalition to help us find a way to improve the attendance, the participation, etc.
Thank you. You didn't cover the top 3 attractions, though, that San Angelo has.
I'm sorry. Top 3 attractions: entertainment. We need to have arts, music, plays. We need to have, I'd like to see the Concho River really be redeveloped into a place that attracts people all along that river area or wherever we can get it done. So entertainment venues are important, and that includes the arts.
Mr. Thompson, with the future potential of becoming a more, seeing an increase in travel and tourism as well as business, what are our current top 3 attractions in San Angelo, and how would you continue to support the growth of the cultural arts in our great community?
We asked about the I-14 and I-27 corridors and how those are the preface to this question. So to be topical on this, I-27, the right-of-ways will probably not be negotiated and acted on until probably 2032. So we're talking about something that is quite a ways out there in the sunset, but we do realize, or quite a ways out there in the horizon, but we do realize that will eventually make San Angelo a hub of commerce. With 27, I-14 is probably 20 years out there. So in the future, we're going to have a lot more traffic coming through San Angelo. We need to capitalize on that. Let's focus on our top 3 attractions. It's not going to be a surprise here to anybody. Rodeo for me is number 1. It is the largest single economic impact event west of I-35 in Texas, is what comes to those grounds out there. A small, simple economic investment, sales tax incentive several years ago now has an annual economic impact of nearly $78 million. It is the single most efficient way to do that. We have a water venue. We have Lake Nasworthy, and it's awesome for what it brings here, but we have to realize it's to develop our lake. We're just finishing the sewer trunk mains under Nasworthy. It's going to release up and open a lot of commercial development the other side of the bridge that has never been available before. That needs some definite consideration and management as we move forward. I think number 3 on that list, and if you're a parent, you get this, youth sports activities. You want to be on the list of all those circuits. There's baseball, softball, volleyball, golf. Bentwood is full. A big one now is pickleball, but I think we need sports activities for all ages that will help follow up and finish that. Those are the top three things that bring the most people to any town, and the same thing applies for San Angelo. It's a very important thing for us to have, and that would be my focus.
Mr. Aguirre, what are the top three attractions that San Angelo has from a cultural arts perspective, and how do you plan to continue supporting the cultural arts during your tenure as mayor?
I will be very focused on, bringing entertainment to San Angelo, and I think that's a key area. We have some of the finest artists here in San Angelo that exist, and we've won multiple awards. The top entertainment, though, and I would echo, is Lake Nasworthy. We seem to have ignored it for some reason, and if you get the arts out there and really beautify Lake Nasworthy with a new sewer system, I know that we're trying to get a pizzeria out there from the Firehouse Pizza. They're having issues with getting it open, but Lake Nasworthy is a mint, and people traveling, and when they start looking at how dry their area is, I think that those interstates will bring in a lot of activity to Lake Nasworthy. The other one is children's events. When you take a look at it, where do parents take their kids? There's really not many places to go. And we do need to make some really good investments going forward. I know we're looking at, I'm not sure what the actual name of the park downtown where the children go. And we're gonna upgrade that. But can we do that many times over across the city? Make this a place where parents want to bring their children to visit and play, because every time they do that, they use hotels, they use restaurants, they use everything else. So children's activities will be way up there. And then we can't forget the adults. We do have, and I hate to say the bar scene, I'm not a real avid drinker, but we need to create an environment that will bring in the entertainment for the college kids, for Goodfellow Air Force Base, for all the other adults out there, because this is a prime spot as they're going through. If we could slow down traffic, make them come in, and we got those three things out there, it would be a mint to reduce that 70-30 split that we have right now and improve our tax rate.
Mr. Acevedo, same question. What are the top three attractions, cultural arts attractions that we have, and how do you plan to support the cultural arts scene in San Angelo?
I will support them. We have no problem with that. Going to in amusement parks, maybe a water park for our kids here. A zoo as well. I mean, how far are we from Abilene? Some of these parents have to travel to Abilene to go out there and look for, to take the kids for a zoo. I mean, we need all these kind of entertainments for these kids. Of course, for adults as well. I mean, we need to have maybe some concerts. I mean, of course, that brings revenue into our city. And so, yeah, I mean, I'm for that as well. I mean, we need to look into the future. Thank you.
Okay, one thing that can be a benefit or detriment, what's that?
Can I ask a question, please?
Hold on a second. One benefit to economic development, which also could be a detriment, is obviously tax policy. Despite the gigantic increases in property values post-COVID, particularly in 2023, the city really has raised the raw taxes that we pay far above, and set the tax rate far above what's called the no new revenue tax rate. Now, the Texas legislature is kind of in a battle with municipalities, counties, and school districts over how they set these tax rates. With Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick wanted to put the lid on it, right? Trying to further restrict how much you can raise the rates. But we do have what's called the no new revenue rate, and when you set that rate, that means the city is collecting from the existing properties from the previous year the same amount of money for the current year, for the year they're budgeting for. In Lubbock this year, Mayor Mark Barbera led a valiant effort to maintain the no new revenue rate there in Lubbock, Texas. He was overruled by the establishment Republicans on the city council, and they allowed him to raise the tax rate, raise the taxes, the raw taxes that you have to pay there. The city of San Angelo, since I've been covering the city of San Angelo over 12 budget cycles, I've never seen the city get anywhere near the no new revenue rate. Even though the tax rate will stay the same, I think Mr. Thompson said about 0.776, it's really a tax increase because you're increasing the property values, right? So you're bringing in more money to the city. So Mr. Acevedo, will you right now promise that you will fight to make the next budget come in at the no new revenue rate, or are you going to raise our taxes?
Like I said, I can't promise you anything, but I mean, and I'll tell you again, I'm against taxes right now. Like I said, we need a break. Thank you.
Mr. Jenkins, will you fight to keep the tax rate at the no new revenue rate or lower?
There it is, thanks. I made a promise during my initial announcement as a candidate for mayor. I will do everything in my power to prevent tax increases. I will stay below and support the no new revenue tax rate. I will do my best. Now, I'm just one individual. And as the mayor who will chair the council meetings, I will certainly speak with the rest of the council members in an effort to persuade them to agree. Let's keep our taxes low. No more increase in taxes. And if that ruffles some feathers, so be it. We have to represent the people who put us in office. And I don't think the majority of the people in San Angelo want to see an increase of any kind in taxes.
Mr. Thompson, no new revenue rate, setting the tax rate at a rate that doesn't increase taxes means you probably won't be able to give as much raises or as higher raises to the city employees, and that's a lot of voters. How do you get around that?
So we go with the original question or your new question?
I'll add that to it.
All right, so I'm going to go back to the first one. Will I agree to a no revenue rate? Absolutely not. This is inflation, how you cover it, and how you pay for one or two extra police. To do that would actually be defunding your public safety. It would be defunding your infrastructure. The bills we have to pay as a city, they don't go down. The gentleman in Lubbock tried to make a great stand, and that was, in my opinion, that was political rhetoric to get votes, and it resonated well with them. But if you were to take a no new revenue rate here, there are many things, and our property values are an estimate. We don't know exactly how much we're going to collect. We could have a 97% collection rate. We could have a 99%. Over that tax base, a no new revenue rate could be very detrimental to the city. So that's my answer to the first one. Now repeat your second one.
We probably don't need to answer the second one because I said that if you stayed at the no new revenue rate, one of the things you probably would have to cut would be salary increases. And you have a lot of voters who are city employees and families.
Absolutely. There's a goal that we would love to be within our surrounding cities, comparable. We all make a sacrifice to live in San Angelo. Joe, you could go somewhere else and run a media agency and probably make more money than you do here. We love San Angelo. We like living here. I won't say we pay a price here, but we make an investment at San Angelo. Our PD and our fire department, public safety will have to get as high as we can get, but I don't think we'll ever be at 100% to our comparable cities. I think we'll be in that 92 to 96 range, which has been very beneficial for them. It keeps them here.
Mr. Trinidad Aguirre, will you keep the tax rate at the no new revenue rate or below, or are you going to raise taxes?
I would not raise taxes, and when you talk about a no revenue rate, what you're doing is you're asking the city to tighten their belts, which I don't believe we've done enough of. You know, is there opportunities? You bet there is. And, you know, I've done that a lot of times within my career within Verizon when they came back and unfortunately expenses kept going up and revenue was down. And by going to a no tax increase and not bringing in, then what that does is you got to make a decision. You know, is our city government too big? Do we need to scale down? Do we need more revenue because we can't afford our own? So would I support that? I would, and I would only support it because I think we need to make some internal decisions on how we're going to do that. How would I increase the employees' wages? Again, it's the same thing. I think that if, you know, what I used to do within Verizon was we came back in and said, you know, for a while, let's eliminate some positions we don't need, or if there is a retirement, we don't backfill them. You've got to live within your means, just like you do at home. If your electricity goes up or something else goes up, what do? You cut something, and I think that's what we haven't done enough, and we need to really focus on. We need to focus on living within our own means.
So the question from the audience was that no one seemed to answer my previous question completely. The question was, what are the top 3 cultural arts attractions in San Angelo? And how would you continue to support the cultural arts during your term as mayor? Right? Lake Nasworthy is not a cultural arts attraction, and neither is rodeo is. Rodeo is definitely one. That's cultural arts. But what are the top 3 cultural arts attractions in San Angelo? And how would you continue to support the arts going forward?
You want me to start that?
Yes, sir.
Downtown San Angelo, arts and uncommon places. There's some things there that certainly have some potential as far as cultural arts. The museum is one of those things. The Railroad Museum is one of them. We've made investments in trying to improve those. We're standing in somewhere that's important for us as cultural arts. What those all survive on is they're all nonprofits, and they all pretty much survive on some hotel tax, bringing people in here for funding. That's great as long as we can sustain that, but if your entity can't survive on its own, is it the responsibility of the taxpayer to make it survive? We've made an investment. We do very, very careful budgeting. When we budget every year, we take the previous year's expenses, less 5%, and that's our budget. What we do is we create a surplus to cover that, because the last thing we ever want to do is go back to any of our cultural arts partners and say we don't have the money. I watched Abilene do that just a month ago. They had to go in and tell some of their nonprofits, you're not getting your money this year. That is a terrible, terrible thing for them to have to live through. But arts and uncommon places, the museum, we have I would say a cultural cluster of several items. I can't pick any one, but together they make a great pie that we have for other people.
Mr. Aguirre?
As I said before, the arts community is vital. It's important to the city. And we need to continue to support it to the best of our ability, as if there's a set-aside needed, would you say 5%? If there's a set-aside needed in the city budget to support our arts community, so be it. Because why? That is part of the partnership with the city. People will come to San Angelo because of the arts in this city. Our Fine Arts Museum is a beautiful place. I like it. I've been there a few times. I've watched other people and listened to their comments. And we want to continue to expand that. I believe the River Stage, performing center over there. We need to do more to attract venues. Now here's where the marketing people come in. You've got to believe in your product, and you've got to tell people, listen, here's an opportunity to bring in XYZ group and perform in San Angelo. And then we promote it throughout West Texas. Not just San Angelo, but throughout West Texas. And so you have to have a strong marketing team for our arts community. And we need to promote it, and we need to build it up also. And so I'm all in favor of supporting it. As mayor, I would advocate that we have the funds available to help support our arts community. And it's up to the voters, because I certainly would put that out there to see what the people think.
Mr. Acevedo, what are the top 3 attractions in San Angelo, and how would you continue to support the arts in the community?
I think fine arts and the River Stage as well. And of course the cultures is, I think it's, we have to, use it, bring vendors, like Gary said, I mean, bands, and so that we can keep, you know, these areas where we make money. Our city makes money.
Mr. Gary, same question. What are the top 3 attractions, cultural arts attractions, and how would you continue to support them?
Well, number one would be like we mentioned, and I know we're only mentioning one company, Arts in Uncommon Places. I came to their event here, absolutely fantastic. Tremendous turnout, and it was really well done. So we've got to continue with the artist within town. We talked a little bit about concerts and events. I went next door on that same day and saw a great performance. I think it was by a Beatle-like group. We need to have more of those. Those were fantastic. The only thing that I would do is, similar to what Mr. Acevedo said, was that we need to get the right marketing in place. We didn't sell it out. And we need to make sure that we're very supportive of these events coming in so we can continue to do it without using the city monies to continue it. We talked about the convention center. What can we do with the convention center to bring in more people, more entertainment, more functions? Because I think that would be a tremendous boost both to the hotel, to the people coming in, the restaurants, et cetera. So all of these combined will really make a difference for San Angelo as we go forward.
You know why we make a good team?
Why's that?
Because you'll ask a question in support of the arts, and then I can come over here and ask the opposite question.
There you go.
I'll start with Mr. Trinidad Aguirre, and we'll just go from right to left, from my right to left. The tax increment reinvestment zone, or TIRZ, that covers San Angelo's very large downtown district, or downtown area, is intended to enhance the downtown economy. And obviously with that is the arts and culinary arts and live music venues and things like that. But the city artificially handcuffs TIRZ funds into northern and southern zones, denying the city and the county the ability to direct TIRZ funds to where the growth really is. TIRZ costs the county about $650,000 a year. And put that in perspective, that's how much it costs to run a district court. So you think the 391st District Court costs about that much money. It costs the city of San Angelo well over $1 million a year. And to put that in perspective, that's probably $1.50 of tax. This is a considerable amount of money that may be otherwise directed towards police, the sheriff's office, the fire department, or just for getting rid of the TIRZ, you could lower the taxes 2 or 3 cents between the county and the city. Hasn't TIRZ served its purpose, and is it time we get rid of this welfare for wealthy downtown property owners and instead spend that money to the benefit of all citizens, or give all the citizens a tax break?
I think the critical component of TIRZ is that it is highly regulated by the state. So this is not a San Angelo function that we can actually do. But would I incorporate other areas? Absolutely. I think that, you know, it served its purpose in the downtown area. The thing that makes it very difficult to use TIRZ funding, and you looked at, you know, the south side pretty much uses all of their money. The north side, we've got some opportunities, but you start looking at churches that want to use TIRZ fund, and they're not able to. So we need to look at some of those regulations to see what we can do. The other part of TIRZ funds that makes it very difficult, Joe, for people to use is that you've got to do the outlay of the money first. So let's say that you're applying for $100,000. You've got to write a check for $100,000, get inspected, and then you may only have to pay $10,000 back. But a lot of people don't have $100,000. And then the negative behind it, let's say that I do a modification to my building, beautify it, guess who's coming next? It's going to be the tax assessors, and they're going to go, wow, this building is now worth triple the money from the outside. So I'm in favor of TIRZ and utilizing it to its best approach, but I also need to make sure that we look at the opportunities and see how we can remove some of the handcuffs off of these people that are trying to utilize it. For example, if you paint the building, can we get TIRZ funded money to pay for it up front instead of having the citizens have to come up that money, run the inspections, make sure everything is done appropriately, but let's not handcuff all the people that are trying to utilize it. And yes, there are other opportunities, other areas that we also need to take a look at.
Mr. Acevedo.
Mr. Hyde, I'm gonna be very short here, but I think the taxpayers, like I said again, they need a break. Thank you.
Mr. Gary Jenkins.
I don't think TIRZ has been implemented in the most fairest way to all of the people of San Angelo. There is a need, yes, to improve the look, the aesthetics of our city, starting with downtown. But to block other areas of the city from benefiting from TIRZ is not acceptable to me. And there are other programs, as I said before, through the federal government that you can implement if you do your research and find out. I participated in urban development in a city in Connecticut as part of the mayor's staff. We know, and I don't know if they still have that particular program today or not, but we certainly utilize grants from the Department of Housing and Urban Development to get rid of blight and to improve on buildings. We formed a partnership with people who wanted to rehab commercial as well as residential property. And they were able to get a tax abatement, and they were not slapped with a big tax bill after they increased the value of the building. You don't penalize people for investing in the city and beautifying the city. We've got it backwards here in San Angelo. We're penalizing people who want to make a positive change in the city. And they won't do it if they know they're going to get hit with a big tax bill from the tax office. They're not going to do it. And so we've got to reverse the system. And we've got to change how we do business. And let's include those people who want to improve the city and the look of the city. Let's make them partners and reward them with tax abatements or some other incentive that will make them, encourage them to continue to do so.
Repeat the question, Joe.
Should we just do away with TIRZ, give everyone a tax break, or should we continue down that path? How would you modify TIRZ to make it more effective?
The tier zone is something that's voted on, and to change that would take an election process if you want to change the overlay. The overlay is Martin Luther King, it's Chadbourne, and it's 87. It's Bryant Street. It's not as easy to jump up and change those things. Each one of those zones generates about $1.3 to $1.4 million, but it comes out of the business within that zone. And I think what I hear sometimes is people saying, if you took that money and applied it somewhere else, would it be more beneficial to the city? Just last week, the North Tier Zone awarded, I think it was $364,000 to buildings that have gone unused, that will be developed for the first time ever. Do I think there's a sunset on the tiers? I do, but I think that's 10, 12 years away. You wrote a wonderful article about the benefits that, and if you hadn't read it, and I'll be a cheap punch in here for Joe, to go read Joe's article. But the whole point is we throw some money in there to cover our most important traveled streets. And we do that. Now, the second question there, do you give money to nonprofits? A nonprofit didn't put any money in. I have always voted against giving a nonprofit funding through TIRZ. I'll tell you why. If you do that for one, you need to do that for all. When we have San Angelo Gives, there's over 700 nonprofits registered in San Angelo. There's over 14 or 15 up and down our TIRZ corridor. Shannon Hospital is a nonprofit. The rodeo's a nonprofit. City, county, you would open up, I think it would be hornet's nest to a bunch of people that would apply for that. I'm not going to take citizens' taxpayer money and give them to a nonprofit. The current ones that have applied for it have been churches. I think that's down for a tithe with your own choice. I think you can extend the payouts, and you could do something different, and you can do up to $25,000 without a reimbursement.
Can I respond to that?
Yes.
I look at this situation a little differently. You don't want to take the taxpayer money and give it to the nonprofit churches or whoever's out there that's applying for these things. But the city, through this $41.6 million bond, wants to take taxpayer money and give to the San Angelo Rodeo and Stock Show folks. You think that's right? That's taxpayer money going to a private entity. That needs to be brought out. That needs to be explained in greater detail because it affects you. And if you're not going to give money to help the other nonprofits, why are you giving money to help a for-profit company? Why? I got a problem with that. I take issue with it, and I'm against it.
Mr. Aguirre, do you want to respond to that? You kind of raised your hand.
You know, I would, and I echo, you know, Gary's thought process on this. You know, we have a TIRZ board, and, you know, they're very, very diligent in what they do, and I give them a lot of kudos. Not everybody gets this, and I think that if, you know, in my first initial comment, we talked about empowerment, and what we're saying, and Gary kind of highlighted it, is we need to trust these individuals that are pushing this money out and giving it to the right people for the right reasons. I think that for us to be able to come here and say no because everybody's going to ask for it, trust the people, trust the process.
So to back that up and get back to Tom, who wants to rebut on this, you have consistently voted against giving TIRZ money to nonprofits, and you explained why right there. And you've been one of the votes. But to rebut what Trinidad's saying, he's saying if the TIRZ board approves it, then why shouldn't the council go ahead and go along with what the TIRZ board says to do? You didn't do that.
If you look at the zones, nonprofits are ineligible in the south zone, and they're eligible in the north zone. So the zones are not even fair. So you're not going to give it in the north zone. I think that's highly discriminatory to offer it in the north zone when it's not allowed in the south. It's as simple as that. I don't think it's set up straight. If it was uniform between north and south, that's a different discussion. But right now, it's not.
Mr. Acevedo, have you been following along here? You have any input?
No, I mean, like I said, I mean, I go back again to the taxpayers. I mean, let them decide. I mean, let that board decide. And I mean, why do we have to, you know, go in and micromanage? That's if I want to call it micromanage. But I mean, I think the board needs to.
But the idea behind the way the statutes are is that the city council has authority to override the TIRZ board. I mean, that's in the law. So they're using their prerogative to override the TIRZ board. Even when the TIRZ board says, give this money to Gethsemane Baptist Church, right? The city council is the ultimate determiner, or can make the ultimate determination to take that money away or to deny it.
And I guess, like I said, I agree with Gary here as well. I mean, I think, you know, we need to leave it to the taxpayers, and and the board as well, because they're the ones that they deal with it.
Mr. Jenkins, you have a unique viewpoint on this. I want you to continue to tell me what are we doing wrong with TIRZ?
What we're doing wrong with TIRZ is that it's really a prejudicial issue. TIRZ is being given to the companies that the city says, not the TIRZ board, the city says is contributing back to the city. But I beg to differ with those who think like that, because let's look at our churches, let's look at our nonprofits. We don't put out a big billboard and blow a trumpet to say, hey, look at us, look what we do. We provide housing, we give food. There are people that got soup kitchens out there that are feeding people that are hungry. There are people that are doing things, these nonprofits, we're not talking about going into a sanctuary and preaching the word and going, hey, everybody, hallelujah. Now, we're not going that way. We're talking about giving people some of the very things they need just to survive, and that has value to it. It may not come in the form of dollars going into the city coffers.
Okay, so we're at the close of our debate here. We had a really good discussion. Do you want to rebut, or?
Well, if it's allowed,
I think it's a good discussion. If you want to if I give you a minute, I got to give everyone else a minute. But if you guys are going along with it, let's talk tiers.
But before we do that, we'll close out this session with 2 minutes from each of you on why you're the best candidate, and if you want to talk about something we have not covered yet, that'll be done at the very end after we complete the tiers discussion.
Okay, so 1 minute to Mr. Thompson.
1 minute for Mr. Thompson on tiers.
I would not take your city tax dollars, constituents pay taxes, and decide which church or nonprofit it needs to go to. The council has approved everything brought forward by the board except that to nonprofits. And it's down the purpose of, to get money out, you have to put money in. The constituents in my district, the commercial businesses that have spoke to me, have said we're highly against that. They did not put money in there. I don't want you taking my dollar and giving it to that facility or that property. They didn't put any money in to begin with, and there's validity to that. I mean, you have a certain thing that you can develop, and I want to say I want to honor those constituents that have brought that to me. I see that very simply.
Any rebuttal? Mr. Trinidad Aguirre.
You know, when you say that the citizens are not providing dollars back to the city because they're a nonprofit, you know, when you look at a church, you know, and you go to Martin Luther King, what we're looking at right now with the TIRZ funding is beautification. It's helping the church get new air conditioners. It's helping the church pave their parking lots. It's helping the church do other things. And do you believe those people going to that church don't pay taxes or don't do those things that they need to do, don't buy cells? That's wrong. I mean, if it's for the right reasons and the people are empowered to do what is right, the TIRZ board, and the city, and they bring it to the city council, let's honor that, because the people that are attending there are paying the same taxes that you and I do.
Mr. Jenkins, I'll let you answer, but I want to add to this. When this whole controversy came up, I went up on MLK and I talked to some of the pastors. I talked to Pastor Theodore Boone. One of the arguments he gave me was that there is no one on MLK that wants to take that TIRZ money, because the minute we fix our for-profit, the minute we fix it up, just like I think Trinidad mentioned, we're going to pay more in taxes. So the only way that you're going to get economic development on MLK is to give the money to nonprofits. Do you agree with that?
Ask that again?
Theodore Boone said the only way that you're going to get economic development in places like MLK on that whole street, other than, you know, some of the more successful businesses like Franco's, is to give it to the nonprofits, because the for-profits don't want the money, because they don't want to fix up their building, because then they don't have to pay more money in taxes after they increase the value of the land.
Well, first of all I can say to you in response to that is that the churches who are doing things publicly to help people, soup kitchens, housing, we got Galilee Community Development Corporation. They're having people with housing. We got other agencies that are out there doing things to help people, not for the church, but for the community. So the TIRZ board said that these churches were eligible to receive these funds. It is arbitrarily, I'll just say it, the people who can control and make that decision in the city have said, no, we're not going to support any church, because then everybody's going to want to put their foot. But everybody's not doing everything in the church community. I know, I'm part of the church community. And so the churches that are working and doing good works, doing things to help people other than themselves, they deserve that TIRZ money. And so that's why I'm opposed to.
Mr. Acevedo, anything to add?
Like I said, I mean, Liz, I agree with Mr. Jenkins. I mean, we need to, and I'm against it as well. I mean, let the board decide, and and like Mr. Aguirre said, we honor that.
So now that we've come to the end of the debate, which is really spirited.
I want to fact check Joe on the tiers. Do I have a chance to do that?
Go for it.
1 minute.
I won't even need 1 minute. Two of the largest people in the North Zone that have used TIRZ money are Lee Pfluger with Franco's and Yolanda Franco at Western Skies. They have done some of the greatest improvements with those funds. So those are people that have used it to make their, I was excited to make their commercial development better.
Okay. So without any further ado, the end of the debate, which is really spirited. Each of you now have 2 minutes to let the audience know why you're the best candidate and to cover any topics that we may not have addressed tonight. And we'll start on the left with, or my right, your left.
Thank you. Why am I the best candidate? I mean, one of the things that you got to take a look at is, you know, I've heard when I was walking out there and talking to people, they bring up 2 factors with the current administration. One of them is I ask them, do you vote? And they say no. And I ask them, why don't you vote? And their answer is, why should I? Who's listening? No matter who I put in there, they're not going to listen. And when people tell me that, you know, I'm very concerned. The other question that I ask is, who's your city council person? And if each one of you answers that quietly, do you really know who your city council member is? And do you ever talk to them? The answer is probably no. I think I've had 3 people say they knew. So one of the things that I will do as the mayor is we will rectify that. You need a strong leader right now that is going to work with the city manager, that is going to work with the city council, but more importantly, work with the citizens to achieve lower taxes, a better place to live, and a better quality of life. If you take a look at my education, my experience, and the things that I have done for years, you will find that I'm capable and able to do that. But the most important thing is I do want an office in that building, and I'll find a way if you put me in there, because me and the city manager, we need to talk every day. I don't want any surprises like they get now at the city council. By the way, you have to vote on this. That's wrong. And if you set an office and you communicate every day, it's just amazing what you can do. So I do believe that my leadership skills are the best. I'm a fresh face. I don't have any baggage. And you can Google me all you want to Google me, and you're going to find that I stand by my word, and I'm very approachable. Thank you.
Mr. Acevedo?
I want to thank you guys for being here, and thank you for the invitation as well. I want to be your next mayor. I'm very humble. I think it's transparency, which actually it's because of public and accountability are public trust and accountability comes first. And of course, I believe in open door policy, and let's maintain the relationship with our good fellow Air Force Base as well. Thank you, and I appreciate your vote. Thank you.
Mr. Jenkins?
First, I thank you for allowing us to be here. I'm the best candidate for mayor for several reasons. I've been in combat. I've been shot at. I've been hit by a grenade in Vietnam when I was serving as a Marine Scout sniper. You say, what does that have to do with being a mayor? A lot. If I can endure a hardship like that and be blessed to return back home safely, if I can endure working as a disaster assistant agent for Homeland Security and FEMA, working with people who have been hit with the hardest disaster or the hardest event of their lives, losing loved ones, rescuing people who are trapped, and helping people recover from tragic losses, like the tornado we had a few years ago here in San Angelo. I wasn't a government official, but my wife and I worked together because I remembered the training and the experiences that I had with FEMA, helping people, and we were able to get shelter, we were able to get meals, we were able to work with other agencies in the city to help those people. Finally, also, as a person who has worked on a mayoral staff before and serving as his liaison with community project managers, I'm able to take that experience and bring it here to San Angelo and let folks know that there are more opportunities out there for this city to grow and to expand and to improve. We don't want to make San Angelo bigger, but we can make San Angelo better. And so as your next mayor, that's what I'll do, and I'm well qualified to do it.
Mr. Thompson.
I think we have a thriving San Angelo. It's built on sound financial and judicial management. We have a bold economic future in front of us. We can all capitalize on that. We can maintain and live within our means with our existing tax base. With 8 years' experience, there is no transition period for me. There's no recheck for people that would get to know and reestablish themselves with somebody new. I served 2 years as the mayor pro tem, and that's invaluable experience as far as preparation and moving forward. And I think what we're looking for is vision and how we're going to move forward for San Angelo. The decisions you'll make on May 3rd are not only for the next 4 years, they're for the next 8, 12, and 16. We're making decisions that are going to affect the next 16 to 20 years. With that, I'd like to ask for your vote for Tom Thompson. Thank you.
We spent an hour and 45 minutes with this debate. I'd like to just call out the fact that these facilities are wonderful. The sound quality is awesome. You have great internet. And if someone wanted to have an event like this in the future, they need to call Yukio over at SAPAC.
Yes, indeed. But we encourage all the viewers out there right now to go ahead and share this, tell their friends and family. You know, this is a great debate. We really got some great participation from the candidates, a lot of great comments, a lot of great insight into their leadership styles and how they view the future for San Angelo. And I think this is a great forum moving forward.
There's nothing harder to do than run for citywide or countywide office. And all four, and of course I guess we have a fifth candidate too that wasn't here, they deserve a big round of applause.
Definitely.
With that, I guess that concludes tonight's debate.
Yes, and I think we should encourage everyone to follow the candidates on their social media and check out the websites, because they're out there. Just Google the candidates and find out where their platform is to find out more information, because we only covered, I think, half the questions we really had for this evening.
And the election is May 5th. The early voting starts April 22nd. May 3rd, I'm sorry, May 3rd. You know, I'm stuck on Cinco de Mayo. It's 2 days prior to Cinco de Mayo, May 3rd.
And also, there's other forums coming up with the Chamber of Commerce, so there's more opportunities for the community to engage with the candidates and find out more about their platforms.
The most important thing is to vote. But thank you all for coming out.